we're doing cross-stitching, are we?
Yeah.
Which is something that scares me a lot because my mum was always trying to teach me to sew my own things and sew on a button, and I'm absolutely hopeless. So if you can teach me, you can teach anybody, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
so.
if I tell you I don't sew, and I don't sew on buttons and
Right,
anything
so
like that.
this is a little bit different, is it?
Yeah.
Is this a different thing? Okay.
Yeah. I started cross-stitching quite a few years ago.
Okay.
And I've actually brought an array of pieces I've done that I haven't really done anything proper with.
Right.
But the scope of what you can do with them into bookmarks or cards or pictures.
I think that's something people struggle with, isn't it? It can look beautiful, but then they think, what do I do with it? Where does it go?
Yeah.
But like you said, you can put it on the front of a card, you could frame it. I mean, particularly if you've got younger children doing it, it's a lovely present to give to a grandparent. They know time's gone into it, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, but it just shows that you really do care. As bookmarks is a great idea equally. So yeah, no, it's fabulous.
Well, with it being half term this week, I thought, you know, children might be starting to drive you up the wall.
And
now we're on Wednesday.
Not too good, is it? So
No,
something
it's
that
not.
keeps them entertained indoors. So.
And this half term, you're always sort of cutting the pennies a bit because you've just paid out for uniforms and you've got...
and Christmas is looming, so you
That's
need
right.
to save up.
So you can actually get the material that you use in different counts, and what that means is how many stitches to the inch.
Right, okay.
This here is 14 count.
Oh, I love you've written your name, that's lovely.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of that after.
Okay.
And then this here is 6.
Right.
Now, a lot of people will remember working with this when they were in school and maybe doing different patterns.
I do, I remember trying
and
that.
little runners or coasters, that sort of thing. So this is where it's really good for the kids to use.
Right, okay.
Now, what I've used here is embroidery floss.
I'm liking your colour choice, pink, my favourite
Well,
colour.
yes.
So good choice. Got me hooked already.
Good. As you can see, this is my box. There are hundreds and hundreds of colours available.
That's the thing, sky's the limit with something like this, isn't it? There is so many, so much scope for you to do it. Football colours as well could be a good idea if you little boys, because I'm guessing this is something that generally tends to appeal to girls, but it doesn't have to.
No,
and boys might be like, I'm not going to sew. But if you've got your football colours, then something like that can get them hooked in. So.
Or do your name. When my daughter was little, I made all her friends bookmarks with their names on in their favourite colours, and they absolutely loved it.
Yeah, definitely. And if you've got an unusual name, particularly if you've got a strong Asian database and viewer base, sorry, and you might not be able to sort of get your name in the shop. So this way you can get something personalised in a way that you struggle with otherwise.
Certainly. This bookmark I've actually made on this type.
Okay.
So again, and what I've used here is one of these variated threads. So it's just one piece of thread.
I can see it changes colour.
Yeah.
It starts darker and it goes a lot lighter, and that makes it look like it's a lot more complicated than possibly it is.
Yeah. So what we don't want knots, and what I've used for this is I've used it double.
Okay.
If you were working on a 14 count, what you'd do, there's actually, if we can see closely, there's actually 6 strands in here.
Right.
And what we'd do is we'd split it just to 2 strands.
So it's really, really fine.
Which means it lasts for ages.
Right, okay. That's a good money saving tip then, isn't it?
Yeah. If you go to Fred Aldous, where I've got my bits from today, they've got hundreds and hundreds of colours.
Right.
Absolutely fantastic.
I think I'd be quite excited. I don't know about anybody else, but you have got so much scope to really just be as creative as you want to be.
Yeah.
It's quite a good way to pass the time.
There's magazines where you can get the designs from, or you can make up your own. Right. If you hold it here, I'm using the big count, and then it's a bit easier to see what we're doing. Leave an end, and then what you're going to do is take a diagonal.
Okay.
Oops.
Have you got any tips for threading? Because threading it through the eye of the needle, because that's something that everybody, I've got long nails, so I struggle with. Often try and recruit my dad to help me when I've been trying to sew, and he can't do it, and he has to get his glasses out, and it can be really, really difficult. So any tips for getting it through?
There are some needles you can buy that are easy threading needles.
Okay.
Other than that, I think it's a little bit of perseverance.
And because this has got quite large holes as well, you can get a needle that's not too sharp.
That's right.
So little kids, you don't have to worry that they're going to prick their fingers.
These needles that I use here are not that sharp.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing that if it was a sharp.
No, definitely.
Because as the hole is already there, you don't need a sharp.
Pierce it
That's
too
right,
deeply.
exactly. So we've made a line there.
Okay.
And then we're going to go into that one there. And there's our cross.
Oh, very easy.
And then we come up at the bottom here. Again. And down into there. Do you want to carry on with that?
It's quite therapeutic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can imagine. Quite a relaxing thing to do. So it
It
might
is.
calm the kids down a little bit more than anything.
And they can see it growing very fast as well, which is really nice for them.
Yeah, that's true. Like instant results.
Yeah. And obviously with the colours they can use. On this I'd also use tapestry wool.
Okay.
because it's quite big holes.
Yeah.
So again,
Oh,
you know,
this is easier than I thought. I was really worried. Do I go to this hole?
Yep, that bottom.
This one?
Yep.
This one here?
That's it.
Yeah. There we are. Oh, it's a lot easier than I thought.
Yeah. So it grows really fast, and there's so much scope of what you can do. You can get the Aida, which is what the 14 count is called,
Yeah.
lots and lots of different colours. I quite often stick with white and cream. You can also buy an aperture card like this.
Right.
And what that is your card blank is actually in 3. So if you open it out, find one here, it looks like that, and you'd think, oh, what do I do with that?
Yeah.
But if you put your stitching in here,
Oh, lovely.
then it covers up the back.
So if you're going to be super organised, you could do that for Christmas time, couldn't you?
Of course you could. So there, you've got your
Halloween's coming
card,
up as well.
and it's all covered up, so it's all neat at the back.
Yeah,
so you've not got all your
lovely.
workings.
And could you make one of those as well? I mean, obviously you can buy them, and I'm sure they cost next to nothing. But if you really wanted to, it's just 3 sections, isn't it? Of
That's
card?
right, and a hole in the middle one. That's absolutely
Brilliant.
right. The other thing, different styles if you go into this one here. This is called
That
black
looks
work.
really complicated.
And
It's
this
very
one,
impressive.
It's done just with one colour, but depending on how many strands you use,
Okay.
and the different stitch patterns.
Yeah.
And again, there's lots of designs you can get to use those
Yeah.
for. Sometimes if you're making a card, you maybe just want to stick your work on the front.
Yeah, I love that. To my daddy, I think that's lovely. Such a lovely gift idea.
You know, and they're not difficult, you know.
Not at
Also,
all.
there's some here where I've incorporated beads into them
now
as
that
well.
to me looks like it's going to be very, very tricky to do. Is it? Is it
It's
too
not.
hard?
It takes longer to do, admittedly.
Right.
What you would do with that is, as you're threading,
Just pop the bead
you would
through.
put a bead through the needle and then stitch it back down.
Brilliant. And you can use quite chunky beads as well, can't you? Because
Yeah.
it's so.
If
there's
you
so
were
much
doing it
hole.
on that, yes, you
Yeah.
certainly could.
That's brilliant. What about buttons? Could you perhaps be experimental and put some buttons
Yeah.
through? Because I don't know, I'm sure everybody else is at home like me, got a box of buttons that, you know, religiously, if you get a new garment, don't you have to keep the buttons off it?
That's right,
And
yeah.
then, you know, you've still got that button 10 years after you throw the trousers out or whatever. So that could actually be a good idea, of a good way to sort of get
Yeah.
rid of the resources you've already got.
Right, now another stitch that you'll use a lot of is backstitch.
Okay.
Now I use backstitch here to go around the edge. If we can see,
Okay.
there, it's very fine.
Wow, yeah.
Now I'm going to put my glasses on.
Okay. I'm very impressed with myself. I don't know if you can see that.
I know you're happily going
That
away
impresses me. Everybody else will be looking at that thinking, what? That to me is an achievement. I'm really, really pleased with that.
But that
I'll make a
shows-
good wife yet.
But that shows how easy it is. I mean, this bookmark here,
Okay.
you know, just took me an hour or so.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I would have thought that would have taken like a whole afternoon.
No, and what I've actually done is sewn a piece onto the back.
Okay.
So I've covered up all my messy workings.
Right.
Because obviously on the back,
Yeah.
you know, it
that
can
doesn't
get
even
quite...
look that messy to me, but mine's a little bit more messy. So
if it's
yeah.
different colours, it will look more messy.
Yeah. Oh,
Although-
right. Okay. So that just makes it all looking nice
Yeah.
and neat.
Um,
And how would you attach that? Is it just glue or do you stitch
No,
it on?
I would stitch it on. I'd
Right,
use what's
okay.
called Holbein stitch.
Okay.
Which will, hopefully, we'll have time to have a look at that. Now here, if you can see where the holes are, all we're doing is going into that one
Yeah.
and then coming up in the next one along.
You make it look so easy, Candy.
The holes are there, it's not like you're piercing the holes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go on and do embroidery stitches on some of these as well. I've sort of played around with some different stitches.
Oh, okay. You can see those there to camera. Different stitches there.
And
So just while you're doing that, I think we're going to have a look at the materials we've used during this demo.